I'll just turn the radio down a little bit. It says something about hopefully it's taking it in landscape. Anyway, so off to work. Yes, I'm back in Perth. And for the people that were following me for the last couple of weeks, I was in Sydney trialing at a prop firm, and it went pretty well. So if you're not aware of a prop firm, there's no salary, and it's quite a unique experience. You sort of you share the profits. So if you have a month where you make a certain amount of money, for example, like $5,000, the prop firm will take half of that, and you'll keep the remaining half. So I've been taught for free. The equipment's free. There's no desk fees. There's no software fees. I'm trading though Bitcoin future contracts, and also we recently got approval to trade Ethereum as well. So we've been doing that. The training was for 2 weeks. We were running a demo account, and it was very interesting. Obviously, my background is I've traded mostly Forex and a little bit of US equities as well, and that wasn't too bad. So some interesting driving going on here as well, I must say. So it was different. I mean, obviously when I was trading US equities, all those trades are up on my YouTube channel as well. I think it was about, can't quite remember, maybe 40 trades. So that's not a lot. So I did around 1,000 trades in 2 weeks, just to really, hone my entries and things like that. And they pretty much really wanted us to do a lot of trades. So a lot of them were unnecessary, because if you go back and actually look at the market movements, there weren't, a lot of tradable setups really, like breakouts, and there were a lot of range-bound plays. But obviously my experience reading the tape and whatnot was pretty flawed, so I didn't really know what a good trade setup looked like. So I'm aware of, how not to sort of trade futures now. So we trade on the BitMEX exchange, and it was good, and I really enjoyed it. So what I have to do now is make a couple of decisions in regards to, I've got quite a lot of leave accumulated, but I can't just leave straight away with that. I've got to sort of fit it in somewhere, and that's February. So that's the status on that, and I'm just trying to juggle that, and or I leave work entirely, and then I'd still need officially give 4 weeks notice, so for me to sort of keep the peace, so to speak. And then from there I would be completely full-time sort of trading. So I've got to make a couple of decisions. I'm going to be liaising with the prop firm and things like that. So more updates to come. Realistically, for a conservative approach, it'd be looking like a February start time, proper full-time trading. So whilst I'm sort of, doing all that, I'm still Forex trading, and I sold the New Zealand CAD this morning. I saw it had been downtrending for some time. It did gap down. My stop is above the gap down point as well. So I understand there is a tendency for it to revert back to that, and I'm accepting of that, and I still was willing to take the trade because I see that downside potential there. I believe I sold it at 84.03 or 06. I can't quite remember, and the stop loss is about 85.80. So that's where that is with the stop placement. So it's, it's got plenty to give as well. Really, it looks to be over 3-year lows. So when it's like that, that really appeals to me, and I like to sell into weakness. So that's that. The USD yen is still an open sell trade as well. I'm contemplating adding to that. The Euro US dollar, I put a entry on that as well last night. Didn't get triggered at probably the yesterday's low, and it didn't quite get triggered. So I moved on from that, and then I was looking at the USD Swiss as well. Overall, it looks like the US dollar has sort of dimmed down a little bit in regards to the USD yen and the majors. Although the Aussie dollar, now I was in the Aussie dollar, I closed this out manually and not with it hitting the stop. It was pretty much a break-even trade. So I closed that out at about 72.19, and I got in at 72.22. And the reason why I did that was simply because it just did not look like I wanted to move anywhere. There were no foreseeable catalysts either, although it just sort of has broken down. Now interest rates are on hold, but everything was expected from the RBA. So I haven't dissected the RBA minutes or anything in detail, but there was some China data out that wasn't spectacular. So I understand there's an overhead sort of theme where the trade wars are on currently in China and whatnot and America. So, but yeah, sometimes, I mean, technically it's in a really strong downtrend, the Aussie dollar. So that's life sometimes. And I really don't normally close things out, but I mean, as I'm gaining in my experience, I just thought, well, I'm going to make a discretionary call here and, redirect my capital a little bit more, productively. Although it's like 50 pips in the positive if I had actually left that open. So, I mean, do I really see it going down to my potential target? Probably not. So, like, I was eyeing off the euro when I did make that call, and there was the USD Swiss. There was a lot going on, so I just felt, and I really don't like to have too much risk on the table. Although the USD yen had been moved to break even, so probably not the best move for me. It was just a little bit impatient. I was like, well, I'm looking to take another trade here. I think, I've got no risk on the trade really because no money had been lost. So I just felt, well, let's just try something else here. So the market's good like that because it teaches lessons pretty quick. So you got to really you got to stick to your rules when it comes to trading, especially when it's closing trades out that haven't really done much, and it was a few days of not too much, but yeah, not probably the smartest move. But other than that, New Zealand CAD, that's the sell trade that's going on okay, and we've got the USD yen. Now I might contemplate adding to the USD yen as well. I got in at 112.99, and the stop has been moved to break even at 113.00. So I think it's about 70 where it is currently. So I'm contemplating, adding to that position to be another 2%. So I'd have 4% at risk with the. Is anyone watching? No one's watching. Anyway. Yeah, so that would be 4% risk there with the New Zealand CAD. Now, I do have strong suspicions that the New Zealand CAD is probably going to rally a little bit, and that's fine. You got to sort of, you can't ever be 100% confident trading because, the market's going to do what the market wants to do, and it's not having a personal attack you or anything like the Aussie dollar thing where if you have been following me pretty extensively, you know that I'm pretty... committed to letting it either hit the stop or, just trailing it. But I'm sort of keen to start growing the account a little bit, so I got to be a little more aggressive when it comes to letting positions just sit and do nothing for days. Like, I don't mind that, but at the same time, the Aussie dollar, what it loves to do typically is just hold in a very tight range, but I mean, it's well below 72 cents now. So, man, I would actually contemplate selling it again. And I tried 2 times in September as well. It was 2 times in September. So, it's something I'm definitely, I'm willing to give it another shot as well. So, you can't be too sort of let down when something doesn't quite work out your way. You want to retry. That's sort of perfectly fine. And it definitely looks like the Aussie dollar is sort of slipping down even further, to be fair. So it's pretty, and if you do follow the news and whatnot, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was more of a technical sort of thing. Like, people just saw weakness and they just sort of started adding. It was pretty clear, and I got out a little bit impatient, but the USD yen still looks pretty good. I'm contemplating branching out to gold as well, and maybe silver. Gold still looks like a pretty good long. even though the Aussie dollar is lower, so it's a little interesting. There is a bit of correlation there. Both are trending up. That's pretty normal, but it's not sort of set in stone though, that rule as well. But yeah, so a few things I just talked about there. Those are my trades. There's really nothing much else. I will look at gold as a trade as well, but there's only going to be one more trade. It's either going to be gold or adding to USD yen. So those are my thoughts. And because the USD yen has pulled back a little bit, it's still looking pretty good. And the US dollar, everything in the US seems to be going pretty well. And you can't sort of disregard the USD yen when it comes to the trend that it's in. So I'm going to keep a close eye on that, and we'll see what it wants to do. So, and gold, again, I'll have a little look at that too. I'm not too sure about gold. I haven't looked at that chart in a little while. It might be near 1200. And I've got a friend of mine I follow on LinkedIn. We were discussing that as well. So a couple things for me to weigh up. You got to be picky as a trader. You can't just you can jump in everything, but at the same time, there's going to be a few issues with that, with being, aggressive. If you're like that, you have to be willing to tolerate, the downswings when it comes to things not working out for you. And normally what will happen is if you pile into a heap of trades, and you don't really have a plan, everything will just probably go red, because that's just how things go in trading. You can't sort of make demands of the market and think that you've got some sort of master plan, because you have the sharpest minds trading, especially Forex. You have a lot of institutions and whatnot, and they sort of know the best system. So you can't be just thinking to yourself, well, I'm just going to do it like this, and I'm going to be a cowboy and put a lot of risk on, because it would blow the account up. So yeah, everything else seems pretty dull. Euro, US dollar, no, there's no trade on that either. I tried, with that, but it's bounced pretty hard. So again, it's not particularly rational, because you've got all the turmoil in Italy and whatnot, and there's a lot of negative chatter, and the Brexit thing is still, in the air. So I gave it a shot, and I guess I was sort of lucky. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes there'll be luck where you don't get triggered into a trade that you think's really good, but then it rallies against you, but you weren't triggered. So you're like, oh, okay, and then other times you have it there and you'll be like, this doesn't look really good. You get triggered, you sort of forget about it. So that is the beauty with the higher time frames, where mistakes are sort of easier to deal with. Like if you're scalping for 10 pips, it's easy to mess up an entry, and then you might have had a good trade idea, but you missed the entry, so the 10 pips is no longer there to capture, and it moved against you pretty strongly because you missed the entry, and then you're like, wow, this is pretty hard. And then normally what happens if you have a losing trade and you sold it and it's rallied, because that's recorded in poor trade. And I do apologize for that as well if it has done that. I don't know why it does that sometimes, but I just sort of want to get a real video out there. This is live, so here are my thoughts. I enjoy sort of doing this when I'm driving, because normally I just either listen to 720 or an audiobook. I'm currently listening to it's How to Make Friends and Influence People, so that title. So yeah, that's the current audiobook I'm listening to on Audible. If you like literature and things like that, Audible's great. It's because it's pretty cheap, and I don't really read a lot of books. So, and I completely forgot about it. The DFO's open. The direct factory outlet. Okay, well, I've got a little bit of time to get to work, so I completely forgot about this. It's like a big direct factory outlet store. I think the grand opening is today, so that's good. Anyway, I'm going to end the video now, guys. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.